And what happened on this first challenge is phenomenal. As I found that I was writing faster, I decided, okay, I'm going to write another book. So by the time the challenge was finished, I had written another version of another book, Designed to Win Roadmap, and that was completed within like 24 hours.
Well, hi, good morning, everybody. Welcome. Today I am going to be having a little chat with the dear founder of this group, Ruth Taylor, the rocket writer. Hi, Ruth. Welcome. I know it's your group, but I'm still welcoming you to the group regardless. Oh, it's nice to have you here. It's a wonderful thing learning all the tips and tricks from you with the writing and the publishing process. And every year, and if my memory serves me correct, every year around this time, we have the Rocket Writer Challenge.
Yes.
So, Ruth, tell me. Now, before I go into it, I was a part of the Rocket Writer Challenge, but we're going to get into that, a little bit later on. But Ruth, what was your inspiration for creating the Rocket Writing Challenge? Talk to us.
All right. So welcome to everybody on Instagram. Welcome to everybody in our Indie Entrepreneurs group. So today I'm going to tell the story behind our idea to manuscript challenge in 30 days. Now, going forward, will be known as our Rocket Writing Challenge. And so this started in November 2018. I started the Indie Entrepreneurs Facebook group, which is independent author entrepreneurs, and we just call them authorpreneurs. And then I was having a chat with my friend Diana Shanta, who also introduced me to independent publishing. And I was telling her how I had written my book Designed to Win in 10 days, and I had published it in 60 days, so about 70 days. And she said, why don't you teach a course on writing a book in 30 days? Because I began backtracking from the very first time that I wrote my book, Hearted Queen Unshackled. I wrote that book. In 11 days, I wrote almost 68,000 words.
Wow. That's amazing. You hear that, guys?
And that was the first time I was writing. So I was like, huh. And I kept looking back at the other books. On an average, apart from Keys to Win, that I deliberately dragged it out, it's usually in less than 30 days I write a book. And so I said, before I teach a course on it, I need to decode it to see if I really know what I did. Because you can do something, but you don't know if it is replicable, if you can teach it. So I said, let me do the idea to manuscript, because it's the first edition of your book, it's the first draft, it's not the finished thing, in 30 days challenge. And I posted it in the group, and we started the challenge in November 2018. So that is how it started. So we're heading into our 3rd year.
Look here, guys, this lady is not the rocket writer for no reason. She didn't just wake up one day and decided to call herself the rocket writer. I think maybe, in fact, that name may have been given to her. I don't know. And my memory isn't so good. I don't know if I had called her rocket writer. I don't know. Maybe it's her thing. But whatever it is, she's not the rocket writer for no reason. No. It took me, I think, nearly 60 days to write my
59 days, because you were on the first challenge.
Right, 59 days.
Once I goes on Instagram, we're sharing rocket writing stories in our independent entrepreneurs group. And I am sharing my story because every November we have an annual writing challenge for 30 days. And I'm sharing the results, and the next over the next 4 weeks, we're going to share stories of those who've written their first book fast within 30 days. And today I'm sharing my story. So thank you for joining on Instagram. And we're going to take some questions and answer them. All right. So we just have maybe about 10 more minutes. Go ahead, Raquel.
Okay. So I'm having this build up because on her 40th in 2020, Ruth took on a challenge. Now, many people might be thinking, one book in 30 days. That's crazy. Imagine 20 books for 2020. And this is what Ruth has done. She decided, and I'm going to have her finish that part of the story, but she decided, you know what? 20 books in 2020. Ruth, tell us about that.
All right, thank you. So how I became the rocket writer, I started analyzing what I was doing and realized that I wrote books fast. Not just small books, but like I said, my very first book was almost 8,000 words in 11 days. That's a standard nonfiction book because you're writing from experience. You're writing about what you know, and sometimes it's content that you have already that you put together. So my 40th birthday was coming up, and I wanted to do something that would cause the next decade to be greater than the previous. And when we started the idea to manuscript in 30 days challenge, as I said, I recognized that I was writing fast. So this book was finished in 3 days, the draft. And then I wrote another one. Mm-hmm. So the idea came to me, what if you had 20 books for 2020? So by that time I had 4 books already. And I'm like, does that mean I should write another 20 books for 2020 or ensure that I have 20 books published for 2020? I decided that I would take on the challenge of writing 20 new books in 1 year. But I wouldn't say anything to anybody. And I backtracked it to the beginning of the challenge, which was November 2018. So I said between November 2018 and November 2019, I would get these 20 books done, and then I would go ahead and publish them for 2020 and ensure that either I have 20 books in all published or I have 20 new books in addition to the 4 that were already out. And right. So I found myself just writing faster, and some of it, you know, some you'll find along the journey, and not giving away everything, but you have content that you prepared before. I had to sit down, come up with topics, and I decided to write a variety of books. Some of them were low content books, like a journal. Some were workbooks, and some were straight out, short nonfiction books between, say, I said between 10,000 and 30,000 words. One of them ended up in the 40s, but on average, I would produce these small books, and it was done. I found that I wrote fast, but then the publishing process was slow, just like with my first book, and that's something that people need to understand. When I say write fast, it's just getting the content out your head onto paper, whether you record that or you write it. But the publishing process, you need to follow protocol. You need not rush the publishing in 30 days after. So my first book written fast, but it took me 9 months to publication. Right. Because you have to polish and rewrite and edit and clean it up and ensure that it is ready. I've had books that were published in 30 days, but I don't encourage that unless you're pumping everything into it. You have nothing else doing but that. So that's my story. So I not only encourage persons to take the challenge, I took the challenge with them. And because I had already written 20 books in 2019, November, I didn't take the challenge with the group. I just encouraged persons. And in 2020, I resumed the challenge. I started 2 books on that challenge, which is not advisable, but I've become like an expert on this, right? And that's what I did. Now, the name Rocket Writer, how did that come about?
Yes.
I was thinking, it's actually, you inspired me. You were on a summit with a lady by the name of Selena. And on that summit, Serena, she called herself the Visibility Maven. And I said, what could I call myself? What could I do well that I could call myself? And I remember Diane saying to me, I'm an expert of getting ideas from the mind onto paper. And so I had speed book. I write books fast. And Shelley Ann Fraser is called the pocket rocket. I said, well, I don't run, but I write fast. So I said, Rocket Writer. And I ran the name by you. And it was a hit. And from then on, every time we talk, you say, "What's up, Rocket Writer?" So I also decided to write a book, a small book, and I called it The Rocket Writer, just to cement things. So that's how the name came about.
Okay, awesome. And it is a very, very fitting name. And well, before we start, let's
With the
see, we have a
questions.
question. Yeah, before we start with the question, I guess we can just say what do you see as the future for well, you know what, let's take the questions before we wrap up with that thing. What questions do we have? I'm not
I'm
seeing
not
it.
seeing them yet, but I know 3 persons are watching live from the group. So if you have any questions, you can pose the questions. I'll bring them on screen and we can answer them.
Yeah.
So this is
So
supposed to be like a 10-minute chat and in a Q&A, and we wrap up in about 20 minutes.
right. So it's really not long because if you have been following Ruth, you have been hearing her share her story. You have been seeing different aspects of her. For instance, if you are around early in the year, we had a summit, the Caribbean Entrepreneur Summit. So there are so many things about Ruth online. So if there are any questions at all, just kind of having a wait to see if anybody has any questions. Is there anybody on the live right now that is going through the challenge? Are you
Are you
currently
going to
going through the
join
challenge?
us?
Yes. So do you
Yes.
want to join us? It
Type
was
yes
on.
in the chat. Are you planning to join us?
Mhm. It was on this challenge that I started to write my book that
Yes.
I am I'm told will be a smash hit. I've
Yes.
dragged out the process for so long.
Do you have the book you can show them?
Oh yes, so I do have the book that is a product, and the printed version of the book just
The proof, the albino marketer.
just
You wrote it on the challenge, and there it is. That's a gorgeous book.
yes. So guys, like this is legit what can happen
Happen.
when you are on. Let me make sure I'm centered. Right. When you are on this challenge. So and just to kind of flip. Ooh.
Right. So that's Raquel's book. She took the challenge and she's proof that it works. She didn't finish in 30 days, okay, but it got her started. She wrote about 9,000 words during the challenge, and by the day 59, she was done. She had about 30 odd thousand words. And then it took her time to polish that. So Raquel is the perfect example that you don't just rush from writing to publishing. It actually took Raquel maybe about 2 years before it was published in terms of the ebook. And she's still working on the print. So what she has there is a proof. So you don't have to rush to publish right after. Are you planning to write a book? Who is planning to join us for 2021, the Rocket Writing Challenge? And just type, if you're joining, say yes. The price for this, I will personally give you a manuscript review. So I'll go over your manuscript and you will get a 1-hour consultation with me, which is normally 100 US per hour. You will get that for free. You'll get your rocket writing certificate. And it's just to boost you because writing in itself is already the win. So is that for busy people, the Rocket Writing Challenge is just for you. You don't have to spend 10 years writing a book. If every day you spend 10 minutes, just record the thing or you write, you can get a small book between 10 and 30,000 words done in a month. And you can get a quick win. You can check out a book called The Magic of Writing Short Books by Mike Capuzzi. And writing a short book is a quick win between 10 and 30,000 words, and you can do it. So Raquel wrote her book, and this challenge is effective. It got me to write 20 books in a year. And every time I do the challenge, books come out, and so it works. So next week we're going to have All Being Equal, Leo Stone Morrison sharing his story. So thank you for joining me for the first episode. Hi, Diane, of Rocket Writing Stories, persons who've written their books in 30 days or less. And then, of course, later they published it. So If
Mhm.
you want to start your book, I also have a course. It's called Start Your Book Now. You can just Google it, Start Your Book Now, and it should pop up. It's just for $19, and it will help you to prepare for our Rocket Writing Challenge, which starts next month.